The courtroom was unusually quiet that morning, but everyone could feel the tension building. Lawyers shuffled papers, officers stood near the walls, and people in the gallery whispered among themselves. At the center of it all sat a young defendant named Marcus Hale, charged with DUI after crashing his luxury SUV into a roadside barrier late at night. Marcus didn't look nervous. In fact, he looked annoyed to even be there. Dressed in an expensive tailored suit with slicked-back hair, he leaned back in his chair with crossed arms, barely acknowledging anyone around him. Every few seconds, he glanced at his watch, as if court was simply wasting his valuable time. The bailiff called the room to order. "All rise." Everyone stood as Judge Fleischer entered the courtroom. His face was calm, unreadable, and serious. He took his seat and immediately reviewed the file in front of him. "You may be seated." Exhaled sharply. Marcus dropped into his chair dramatically, rolling his eyes. Judge Fleischer looked up. "Mr. Hale, you are charged with driving under the influence, reckless endangerment, and providing false statements to law enforcement. How do you plead?" Marcus smirked. "Not guilty, Your Honor." "Obviously." A few people in the gallery exchanged looks. The prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, the state has overwhelming evidence proving the defendant was intoxicated while operating his vehicle. Officers observed erratic driving, slurred speech, the smell of alcohol, and multiple failed field sobriety tests." Marcus laughed quietly. "This is ridiculous." Judge Fleischer looked directly at him. "Mr. Hale, you'll have an opportunity to speak. Until then, I strongly suggest you remain silent." Marcus shrugged, unconcerned. The prosecutor continued. "At approximately 11:42 p.m., officers responded to reports of a black SUV swerving across multiple lanes before striking a concrete divider. Upon arrival, the defendant exited the vehicle appearing visibly impaired." Marcus interrupted. "That's a lie." The courtroom froze. Judge Fleischer slowly removed his glasses. "Mr. Hale?" Marcus leaned forward. "No, seriously, that officer is lying. I was completely fine. They targeted me because of my car." A few muffled gasps came from the gallery. Judge Fleischer's voice stayed calm. "One more interruption and you will be held in contempt." Marcus leaned back again, muttering under his breath. The prosecutor called the arresting officer to the stand. Officer Daniel Brooks walked confidently to the witness box and was sworn in. "Officer Brooks," the prosecutor began, "can you describe what happened the night of the arrest?" "Yes. I observed the defendant's vehicle drifting between lanes and nearly striking two other cars. After initiating a traffic stop, the vehicle failed to pull over for nearly 2 minutes." Marcus shook his head dramatically. "Unbelievable." The officer continued. "When the defendant finally exited the vehicle, I detected a strong odor of alcohol. His speech was slurred, balance unstable, and eyes bloodshot." "False," Marcus muttered. The prosecutor presented body cam screenshots to the court. On the screen, Marcus could clearly be seen stumbling while stepping out of the SUV. The gallery murmured. Judge Fleischer studied the image. "Mr. Hale, care to explain?" Marcus straightened himself. "That angle is misleading." Some people nearly laughed. The prosecutor then displayed dashcam footage. The video showed Marcus's SUV swerving aggressively, nearly colliding with another vehicle before crashing lightly into the barrier. Marcus's confidence faded slightly. "That video doesn't prove I was drunk." The prosecutor nodded. "Correct, which is why we also have this." He held up a report. The defendant refused an initial breathalyzer, but after a warrant-authorized blood draw, results showed a blood alcohol concentration of 0.1 stinks, twice the legal limit. The room became silent. Marcus's attorney rubbed his forehead. Marcus quickly spoke. "That test is fake." Judge Fleischer raised an eyebrow. "You're claiming the hospital falsified your blood results?" Marcus hesitated but doubled down. "Yes." The prosecutor smiled faintly. "Interesting." He handed another document to the judge. Hospital staff also documented the defendant verbally admitting to drinking just enough whiskey to stay relaxed. Marcus's eyes widened. I never said that. The prosecutor nodded toward another witness. The state calls Nurse Emily Carter. A woman in blue scrubs approached the stand. After being sworn in, she spoke clearly. I was present during the defendant's blood draw. Did the defendant make any statements? Yes. He repeatedly said he only had a few drinks and asked whether we could make this disappear. The courtroom buzzed. Marcus turned red. She's lying, too. Judge Fleischer slammed the gavel. That is enough. Silence. Judge Fleischer leaned forward. Mr. Hale, you have interrupted these proceedings repeatedly, accused officers, medical staff, and witnesses of conspiracy, and shown absolutely no accountability. Marcus clenched his jaw. Judge Fleischer continued. Do you understand the seriousness of driving under the influence? Marcus scoffed. No one got hurt. That sentence changed everything. The judge stared at him for a long moment. No one got hurt by luck, not judgment. The prosecutor then revealed one final piece of evidence. A civilian witness had captured phone footage moments before the crash. The video played. Marcus was visible at a red light, holding a drink bottle out of the driver's side window while laughing with a passenger. Then the car accelerated recklessly. The entire courtroom watched in disbelief. Marcus lowered his head. For the first time all morning, he had nothing to say. Judge Fleischer folded his hands. Mr. Hale, would you like to revise any of your statements? Marcus swallowed hard. No, Your Honor. Still defiant, still refusing accountability. Judge Fleischer nodded. Very well. He reviewed the file for several moments. This court takes DUI offenses seriously, particularly when paired with dishonesty and reckless disregard for public safety. Marcus's attorney quietly whispered something, but Marcus ignored him. Judge Fleischer delivered the ruling. Based on the evidence presented, I find the defendant guilty on all charges. Gasps spread across the room. Marcus looked stunned. Judge Fleischer continued. You are sentenced to 12 months probation, mandatory alcohol counseling, suspension of driving privileges for 18 months, 200 hours of community service, substantial fines, and 30 days in county jail. Marcus shot up from his chair. What? For this? Judge Fleischer didn't flinch. You may sit down. Marcus remained standing. This is insane. You're ruining my life. Judge Fleischer's expression hardened. No, Mr. Hale, your decisions brought you here. Marcus slowly sat back down, visibly shaken, but the judge wasn't finished. Additionally, due to your repeated contemptuous behavior during proceedings, I am adding 5 days for contempt of court. The gallery erupted in whispers. Marcus looked completely defeated. His arrogance was gone. Reality had finally arrived. As officers approached, Marcus turned desperately toward his attorney. There has to be something we can do. But it was too late. The bailiff guided him toward the side exit. Judge Fleischer gave one final remark before ending the hearing. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down, and just like that, the man who walked in believing rules didn't apply to him walked out in handcuffs. The lesson was painfully clear. In court, arrogance is never a defense. And when the evidence is stronger than your excuses, even confidence can collapse in seconds.